silhouetted against the burning blue sky, the blindingly white clouds, the vertical finger hills, umber and green. Moira had invited him down to Berengaria's estancia in Sonora, but he had wanted to get farther away from civilization, so they had met up at this resort on the west coast of Thailand, and here they had spent the last 3 days and nights. During that time, Moira had explained what she was doing in Sonora with the sister of the late drug czar Gustavo Moreno. The two women had asked for his help, and he had agreed. Moira said time was of the essence, and after hearing the details, he had agreed to leave for Colombia tomorrow. Turning back, he saw a woman in a tiny orange bikini high-stepping like a cantering horse through the surf. Her thick mane of hair shone pale blonde in the sunlight. Bourne followed her, drawn by the echo of his memory shard. He stared at her brown back, where the muscles worked between her shoulder blades. She turned slightly then, and he saw her pull smoke into her lungs from a hand-rolled joint. For a moment, the tang of the sea breeze was sweetened by the drug. Then he saw her flinch and drop the joint into the surf, and his eyes followed hers. 3 police were coming down the beach. They wore suits, but there was no doubt as to their identity. She moved, thinking they were coming for her, but she was wrong. They were coming for Bourne. Without hesitation, he waded into the surf. He needed to get them away from Moira and Berengaria because Moira would surely try to help him and he didn't want her involved. Just before he dived into an oncoming wave, he saw one of the detectives raise his hand, as if in a salute. When he emerged onto the surface, far beyond the surf line, he saw that it had been a signal. A pair of Wave Runner FZRs were converging on him from either side. There were 2 men on each, the driver and the man behind him clad in scuba. These people were covering all avenues of escape. As he made for the parole, a small sailboat close to him, his mind was working overtime. From the coordination and meticulous manner in which the approach had been made, he knew that the orders had not emanated from the Thai police, who were not known for either. Someone else was manipulating them, and he suspected he knew who. There had always been the chance that Severus Domna would seek retribution for what he had done to the secret organization. But further speculation would have to come afterward. First, he had to get out of this trap and away to keep his promise to Moira to ensure Berengaria's safety. Within a dozen powerful strokes, he'd come to the parole, hoisting himself over the side. He was about to stand up when a fusillade of bullets caused the boat to rock back and forth. He began to crawl toward the middle of the boat, grabbing a coil of nylon rope. His hands gripped either gunwale. The wave runners were closer when the second fusillade came, their violent wakes causing the boat to dance and shudder so violently it was easy for him to capsize it. He dived backward over the side, arms pinwheeling as if he'd been shot. The pair of wave runners crisscrossed the area around the overturned boat, their occupants looking for the bobbing of a head. When none appeared, the 2 scuba divers drew down their masks and, as the drivers slowed their vehicles, tumbled over the side, one hand keeping their masks in place. Completely invisible to them, Bourne was treading water under the overturned boat, the trapped air sustaining him. But that respite was short-lived. He saw the columns of bubbles through the transparent water as the divers plunged in on either side of the boat. Quickly, he tied off one end of the nylon rope to the starboard cleat. When the first of the divers came at him from below, he ducked down, wrapped the cord around the diver's neck, and pulled it tight. The diver let go of his spear gun to counter Bourne's attack, and Bourne ripped off his mask, effectively blinding him. Then he grabbed the spear gun as it floated free, turned, and shot the oncoming second diver through the chest. Blood ballooned out in a thick cloud, dispersed by the current rising from the deep. Bourne knew it wasn't wise to stay in these waters when blood was spilled. Lungs burning, he rose, breaking the surface under the overturned boat. But almost immediately, he dived back down to find the first diver. The water was dark, hazy with a gout of blood. The dead diver hung in the mist, arms out to the sides, fins pointing straight down into darkness. Bourne was in the midst of turning when the nylon rope looped around his neck and was pulled tight. The first diver drove his knees into the small of Bourne's back while he hauled on the rope from both sides. Bourne tried grabbing at the diver, but he swam backward out of the way. Though it was clamped shut, a thin line of bubbles trailed from the corner of Bourne's mouth. The rope was cutting hard.